Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Last night, we left off talking about the whole entire Prince Andrew fiasco and the fact that his chickens are coming home to roost. The Department of Justice has formally requested that Andrew take part in their active investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his criminal organization. And this isn't some civil request either. This is a criminal investigation, and Prince Andrew, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, finds himself smack in the middle of one of the worst situations you could possibly ever find yourself in. But guess what? He has nobody but himself to blame for it. Nobody told him to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody told him to do what he did with Virginia Roberts. This is a man who has never known any rules. This is a man who knows no boundaries. And this is a man who will do as he pleases. And it does not matter what the law says, because the law does not apply to people such as him. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Guys like this have gotten away with the things he's getting away with forever. So why would he think that he would ever have to answer for what he did, considering what we know about the past and how cases like this have been handled? So this guy has thought for all these years that he got away with what he got away with. He has thought that this would never come back to bite him in the ass. Well, Prince Andrew, like usual, you're wrong. What you did to Virginia Roberts will never be forgotten. You must answer for it, and you must answer for it under oath. Your alibis are weak. Your story is weak. In fact, you're weak. For much too long, you held all the power. For much too long, you controlled how the game of cards was dealt. And for far too long, you controlled the narrative. Well, my friend, that ship has sailed, and the narrative is no longer under your control. The narrative has been firmly snatched from your grasp by the survivors. And now, finally, after all this time, after all the questions, after all the pressure, Prince Andrew and his legal team are responding to the new revelations in this case. Today's article is from Yahoo. The headline, Prince Andrew accuses U.S. prosecutors of seeking publicity instead of answers. This article was authored by Rebecca Taylor. Now, I'm torn here, right? Because I don't trust the prosecutors either. They're almost as bad as Andrew at this point, in my opinion. But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt to see where this goes. And to think that Andrew and his team are going to use this route. They're saying that it's about publicity, and they're using technicalities and how this goes out of the realm of the norm, etc., etc. You notice they don't say that the man is innocent, right? You notice that they're not coming out with a full blitzkrieg about how innocent Andy is. If this man was innocent, they'd have him on all the talk shows. Oh, he has access to all of them. Just look at what ABC did to help the royals before when they quashed the Robach story. He could have his choice of any of these talk shows, any one of them. And they'd probably give him softball questions too. But he is so toxic. There is so much fallout on this man that they will not even put him on their favorable shows that they have a symbiotic relationship with the hosts on. Because they know the man is a disaster waiting to happen. They know he cannot hold up to real scrutiny. And they know that his story is absolute BS. Prince Andrew has accused U.S. prosecutors of seeking publicity instead of answers, claiming he has offered to help their investigation into Jeffrey Epstein on 3 occasions and been ignored. Now again, we're dealing with notorious liars here, right? The Department of Justice, they like to lie. We all know that the Prince of Punk Asses, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, well, he likes to lie as well. In this case, though, I highly doubt that the prosecutor's office is going to be so brazen and that they're going to file an MLA if they do not have the goods. And like I said last night, I truly believe that they flipped other people, that there are other cooperating witnesses, and they have built a profile on all of the people involved at this point. And I think that Prince Andrew has a lot of trouble coming down the pipe for him. Because what I think they want to do is I think they have more information than they're willing to let on, right? So what they want to do is get him under oath and try and cross him up, try and get him to lie about something, try and get him to admit to something without admitting it, stuff like that. They love to do that. They love to trap you. And the FBI is very, very, very good at that. Even if you're not guilty of the original crime, the FBI will find a way to catch you up in a process crime. That's just how they roll. Don't get me wrong. The FBI is its own criminal enterprise, in my opinion, right? But in this case, when it comes to bringing the Prince of punk asses into question, well, I think that the FBI and the Department of Justice understands all of the scrutiny on this case at this point, and I think they're going to have all of their T's crossed and their I's dotted when it comes to a situation like this. The Duke of York has issued a rare and fiery rebuttal to claims from the U.S. Department of Justice that has failed to cooperate with their inquiries in the Epstein case. So now Prince Andrew and his team, of course, they're firing back after this report was released, after it was leaked, or however it got into the public domain. Now his legal team, of course, well, they're firing back, but we all know they don't have a leg to stand on, and all they can talk about is the process, about the confidentiality of the case. It's always the same thing, technicalities. That's how these people try and get off. Look what Krista Marks did in the case in Palm Beach. Just take a look at what Krista Marks had to say in that case. It was about technicalities. It didn't have to do with the fact that crimes were being committed or that the prosecutors were shitty. Oh no, it's all about technicalities. Any way that people involved in the good old boys and good old girls club, any way that they can find to get their friends off, they will do just that. They'll use loopholes, they'll destroy the plaintiff, whatever it may be, they will use those tactics, and they do not care. It comes amid reports American authorities have filed mutual legal assistance requests to the UK Home Office. Epstein killed himself, allegedly, in prison in New York when he was awaiting trial for sex trafficking offenses. Now, this MLA, again, it's very significant. This isn't the kind of thing that the Department of Justice files without some evidence, right? Especially in a high-profile case like this that has to do with royalty, one of the monarchs, the Queen's son. Just think about that for a minute. Just think about what sort of evidence you must have to make this request. And I've said it from the beginning, you have to have ironclad cases against people like this. There's no room for messing around. There's no room for nonsense. All there is room for is pure, unadulterated evidence. And that's what you have to do. If you want to bring down people as powerful as the Duke of York, you must come with receipts. And with the government, the Department of Justice requesting this MLA, they most definitely have the goods. I was speaking with a friend of mine who is a lawyer, and my friend was saying that in his experience, stuff like this is usually the beginning of the end for these kind of criminal organizations. So I'm obviously remaining skeptical because throughout this whole entire thing, we've seen the way the justice system has dealt with these people, but at the same time, I think there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now. We see what's going on here with the Prince of punk asses, and we see it in some of the other instances of this case where they've had to step back from public life, etc., etc. Now, I definitely believe that there are other people cooperating at this point, and I most certainly believe that we'll see a lot of that come out in the future, because there are people who were parts of the machine here who might not have had a leadership role, so therefore they won't be getting as harsh of a sentence perhaps. So it's about self-preservation at this point. And everybody who gets caught up in this is going to be looking at serious charges. So you have to expect people to roll over. And I am guessing that that's what's occurring right now as we speak, considering how forceful this request is by the Department of Justice. I have another friend of mine who is getting ready to become a judge, and I've reached out to them to talk to them a little bit about their opinion, not about the case specifically, but about these sorts of cases, right? What it usually means in the grand scheme of things. So I'm trying to get a little bit of context from him about that. In a statement, the Duke's lawyer said, the Duke of York has on at least 3 occasions this year offered his assistance as a witness to the DOJ. Now, again, we're dealing with liars on both sides here, right? You really can't 100% know who to believe, but I'm leaning towards believing the prosecution in this case for all of the reasons I stated earlier. I don't think that this is a case where they can mess around like this. I think it's too high profile, and I think there is too much on the line, not only here at home, but geopolitically and with regards to the relationship with England. I don't really think that the Justice Department is playing games here or just firing off at the hip if they don't have the evidence to really get this ball advanced over the goal line. Unfortunately, the DOJ has reacted to the first 2 offers by breaching their own confidentiality rules and claiming that the Duke has offered zero cooperation. In doing so, they are perhaps seeking publicity rather than accepting the assistance proffered. Look, again, don't buy into any of that, folks. This is a canned statement from a high-profile legal team. And again, they're not saying he's innocent. They're not saying that he didn't have anything to do with it. They're saying, oh, well, the Department of Justice, well, they shouldn't breach their own confidentiality rules. Nobody cares, all right? We're done with all of that. We're done with all of those stupid little technicalities that we all have to live by while you skirt the real law. Why should we be concerned with the finer points if you are not? If you're innocent, none of this rigmarole needs to occur. None of this has to happen. Come forward, give your statement, and let's move on with our lives. What are you waiting for, Joe Exotic of the Windsor family? Andrew's legal team say they spoke to authorities in the U.S. in January, shortly after the first requests were made for the Duke's help. They say they secured confirmation that our cooperation and any interview arrangements would remain confidential. No, negative. Transparency, okay? I don't care that you're the Duke of York. I don't care about any of that. No more secret meetings. No more secret deals. Everything in the open, in the light of the sun, so the rays can purify your bullshit. We will no longer accept your backroom wheeling and dealing while you step on the necks of the rest of us. Sorry, that shit is over. The team also pointed out that Epstein was being investigated for 16 years and that no mention of speaking to Prince Andrew was made until 2020. Yes, so what does that have to do with anything? You think that was because your buddy was protecting you still? Joe Exotic of the Windsor family? Might have something to do with that, right? The way Epstein was finessing the investigators. And it might have something to do with the fact that this is all coming to a head now that he's dead because you no longer have that protection in place. Don't try and act like, oh, this was 20 years ago. This was 10 years ago. Oh, we can't answer questions now. Nope, sorry. You're answering all the questions that are shoved in your face. Or don't answer them and deal with the repercussions. In a statement, Andrew's lawyers accused the DOJ of breaching their own rules and say that 2 statements made about him were inaccurate and should not have been made. Okay, well, why doesn't he come out? Why don't you set it up, fantastic legal team? Get him on the circuit. Let's see him on all the talk shows. Let's see how truthful the Prince of Punk Asses really is when he's facing hardball, high heat kind of questions. The statement also says, importantly, the DOJ advised us that the Duke is not and has never been a target of their criminal investigations into Epstein, and that they sought his confidential, voluntary cooperation. Okay, yeah, this is the beginning of the end. You can try and spin it any way you want. You can try and pitch it any way you want. But the fact of the matter is, your boy, the Prince of Punk Asses, the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, is now ensnared in a criminal probe into his behavior while he was cavorting with a pedophile. Own it. The team adds, far from our client acting above the law, as has been applied by press briefings in the U.S., he is being treated by a lower standard than might reasonably be expected for any other citizen. Yeah, okay, any other citizen would have been dragged in front of a judge or a magistrate by now. Are you kidding me? Stop it. Stop it. You're not a victim, okay? Zero chance royalty is ever a victim, ever. Misleading account of our discussions. Get the blazes out of here. This guy is an absolute joke. His law team's a joke, and I really, really hope the prosecutors put their foot on their proverbial neck and step on it, because these people need to be brought to heel. There is no way that somebody like Prince Andrew should be getting away with acting like he is some sort of victim in a case like this. Further, those same breaches of confidentiality by the DOJ have given the global media, and therefore the worldwide audience, an entirely misleading account of our discussions with them. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Guess what? We don't need any more information to come out to know what Prince Andrew is. Here's the information we need, okay, if you want to exonerate your client. An alibi for the nights in question, and people corroborating his story, and witnesses. Because guess what? That's what the other side has. And so far, all Andrew has are lies, deceit, and BS alibis. Addressing the reports of the MLA, the legal team said, any pursuit of an application of mutual legal assistance would be disappointing, since the Duke of York is not a target of the DOJ investigation and has recently repeated his willingness to provide a witness statement. It is hoped that the third offer has not been the cause of the most recent leak about the Duke of York. Enough with the leaks. Nobody cares. What are you worried about? His image? His image is destroyed. It's gone. There is only one road that the Duke can take at this point. Come forward. What are you waiting for? See, this is all just nonsense, right? This is all just legal wrangling, and this is all just cover for the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. An innocent man would come forward. An innocent man would have the evidence and the alibis and the receipts to back up his statements. You know what a guilty man does? A guilty man acts like Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew has been accused by Virginia Roberts, who says she was trafficked by Epstein when she was a teenager, and of having sex with him 3 times. One of those occasions was when she was a minor in U.S. law. Andrew denies any wrongdoing. He stepped back from his role as the senior royal in November last year after a disastrous interview on BBC Newsnight in which he indicated he did not regret his friendship with Epstein. Andrew stayed at the disgraced financier's home, pedophile, in New York after the American had spent time in jail when he was convicted of sex offenses. So, we heard last night that the Prince of Punk Asses, a.k.a. the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, would be releasing a statement. And there you have it, folks. Again, not claiming that he's innocent of the crimes. Oh, no, because we know he can't do that. Instead, crying about technicalities and leaks and how it's rigged against him. The whole system's rigged against Prince Andrew. Guess what, folks? You should all feel bad for him because, obviously the system's rigged against him and in the favor of the survivors, right? We've seen that play out over and over again. Who does this person think he is? Who does this guy think he is? Who does his legal team think they're dealing with? Nobody's buying your bullshit, okay? Nobody's buying any of it. And to be honest with you, let's just cut to the chase, all right? Enough with the BS, enough with the canned statements, enough with the Department of Justice is lying. Come forward, bring your ass to the local FBI office, and sit down for a chat. Until then, Prince of Punk Asses, a.k.a. the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, nobody wants to hear a single word from you. If you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All right, everybody, we'll be back later on with some more. Enjoy your Monday.